Today, a new moon is in the sky.
The world's first artificial satellite, called the Sputnik 1.
One of the great scientific feats of the age.
The Soviet launching of Earth satellites is an achievement of the first importance. However, there is real military significance to these launchings. We must see to it that whatever advantages they have are temporary only. Now the next question is, how about the future?
The future was quick to follow. On February 7, 1958, Department of Defense Directive 5105 authorized the creation of the Advanced Research Projects Agency, later the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Walker, DARPA's 21st Director. And since its inception, DARPA has held to a singular, enduring mission to create technological breakthroughs for national security so that we would never again experience a Sputnik-like moment.
It's now often said that DARPA was set up to prevent surprise. That's backwards. DARPA was set up to provide surprise.
Because we are always looking for those ideas and concepts that could make a big deal, making sure that we do them first. And in doing them first, we create technological surprise to other people. So it really is the same charter.
It's easy to read the charter and say, here's what DARPA is for. But it's answered by the practice. DARPA has a track record of delivery which is simply astonishing.
DARPA has the ultimate mystique in the technology business. It's the #1 game in town.
DARPA ends up working on things that really count, that really would make a difference.
And there was a feeling that with the right priority and the right concept, you can do anything.
Well, how do you really do it? First in the lab, and then on the range, and then can you get something you can give the troops?
Reinforcing this deep DARPA culture about reaching for off-scale impact, about being willing to take risk to get there.
What DARPA can do is think out of the box and understand the problem and have the freedom and flexibility to think about it in a different conceptual way.
DARPA is a unique organization in the United States government, and I would venture to say, in the world. And even though the challenges DARPA faces, the technologies it ushers from ideas to reality, and the people who drive it are always changing, the agency has performed as a constant source of innovation. It has never stopped redefining what is possible. But how? What is it about this agency that accounts for the almost mythic representation it has in the innovation ecosystem? There's no one simple answer. One telling model of innovation at DARPA boils down to a special sauce, if you will, that emerges from a few choice ingredients. The kinds of people who work here, the ability to ask and answer tough questions about technology, the embrace of risk and the pursuit of transformative impact, the flexibility to recognize when to change direction, and the unwavering commitment to ultimately deliver new game-changing technologies and capabilities in the cause of national security.
One of the reasons why DARPA has been so successful is that it seeks out the best and brightest people in the country and tries to involve them in its programs.
The final merging of problems and solutions occurs in someone's head, and that person is called a program manager.
We tried to instill a discipline of program managers staying for only 2 or 3 years because that's the life of a typical program.
And we were very, very fortunate to be able to attract some good people because we had some passion for what we were doing, some excitement.
And when you have passionate program managers who will do absolutely anything to get their project to succeed, then you've got really something golden.
You were expected to do things, and you had to have a sense of urgency.
You could see them start to understand how big the job really was, how much was being demanded of them, and how much they were allowed to reach for.
And it takes not only technical prowess, but it takes a different kind of person. It's a risk taker. Those two don't come in a package terribly often.
So where do they come from? Well, everywhere. They come from universities, they come out of the services, they come from companies, they come from nonprofits of all sorts.
They bring the latest state-of-the-art knowledge and understanding to ARPA.
For technologists, scientists, it's the best place to be.
We decided that we were going to fund ideas, good ideas, and we didn't care where they came from. We would critique each other, ask questions, and we agreed that we were going to use a set of questions and we were going to institutionalize it. What are you trying to do? With no jargon. How is it done today and what are the limitations of current practice? What's really new in your approach and why do you think it can succeed? Assuming you're successful beyond your wildest dreams, what difference does it make to national security? What are the risks that are involved here? How long is this going to take? How much is it going to cost? And what are the midterm and final exams? That became the catechism. And even today, people in DARPA on their business card have those questions in the back.
A common statement is, we seek high-risk projects. Well, no one seeks high risk. You seek high payoff projects. And you know, inevitably, high payoff projects are high risk.
Failure is not looked upon as a favorable thing in the services. It is accepted in ARPA and should be accepted in ARPA, not for failure's sake, but for the fact that it is inevitable if you're working close to the frontiers of technical knowledge.
What are the new results? Do they fit what we expected, or do we have to go in some new direction? What is the plan to go there?
Sometimes the real payoff comes where you least expect it. So you start a program and you pursue something with one thought in mind, but then something serendipitous happens and it's a big breakthrough in an area that you don't anticipate.
You know, a lot of people would say, well, I really had that in the back of my head when we started this, but you know, you just don't know sometimes where it's going.
It's a lot of luck involved in this business.
Luck always trumps planning. I mean, no question. I mean, bad luck, and things can happen that you have no control over, that can trump the best plans, or by the same thing, serendipity. Now, the thing is, are you alert enough and active enough to exploit it when it happens, or does it just go right by you and you sit and don't do anything about it?
There are a lot of DARPA successes, but I would venture to say that at the time, you couldn't ever have predicted the path that technology transition would take.
No project is of value if it stays at DARPA. Eventually it has to get to the operating forces or the people that have responsibilities in the Defense Department.
You can bring new ideas and new approaches to the problems, but you got to work on problems that people consider to be important.
On one side, have the relationships with the services who are your customers. At the same time, to get them to share your vision of the future.
It's really good for DARPA to bring military folks in for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 year stints. They bring expertise, but more importantly, they bring the technology back to their service in their heads. Nothing's more important than that.
Good technology will find its way into the marketplace or into service developments, regardless of how much time and attention is put on hand-wringing about whether that handoff is smooth.
A lot of the things that DARPA does don't go into application for quite a while. DARPA will do a demonstration that works really good, but maybe get picked up 5 years later.
We get great success when people embrace it as their own and forget where it came from. So you know the truism that you can accomplish a lot if you give someone else the credit. Well, it's certainly true.
Of course, DARPA could not operate without its mission-first support staff, its strong ties to academia and industry, and its apolitical support from the White House, Congress, and the Pentagon. All of these elements have contributed to a track record of nurturing and catalyzing innovation, both within and beyond the defense sector. The country will continue to need this unique place of innovation for decades to come.
If we didn't have a DARPA today, we'd have to invent one. It's that important, I think, to our national defense.
There is no other organization like it, and the flexibility to create new and wonderful scientific and engineering objects is just outstanding.
You just need to make sure you're working on the hard problems. DARPA's there to solve the hard problems for the military.
If something isn't is small enough so that someone else can and will do it, then someone else can and will do it. There's always a sufficient number of unsolved giant problems for DARPA to worry about.
I mean, that's what DARPA is, and that's why DARPA exists as far as I'm concerned.
DARPA is a change organization. I think change is the constant at a place like that. Absolutely.
And my hope is that every future DARPA I see is still chock full of really smart, capable people who are running in the door every day because they want to do something with technology that's going to shape the future and help our country.
I'd like to leave you by returning to President Eisenhower's words, how about the future? The question is just as relevant today as it was 60 years ago. DARPA's major priorities for the coming years will include defending the homeland, projecting hard and soft power against peer competitors to limit their influence, and continuing the long war on terror around the world in the most economic and efficient way for this country. For 60 years, DARPA has been operating at the edge of the frontiers of science and technology to further the cause of our national security. This has always been DARPA's sweet spot. As we carry out that tradition in the current context, we are pushing on how technology frontiers like complexity, contextual artificial intelligence, engineered biology, microelectronics, and new computing methods, among others, help enable new capabilities to meet and even preempt new threats. This is what DARPA does best, innovate to bring new technology to bear on the hardest problems we must solve to protect our nation. The future is where DARPA lives and works. Let's get on with inventing it.